Hi, I'm Rachel Hargreaves, an Investor Engagement Advisor at UniGlobal Union. UniGlobal are the global union federation for the service sectors. We represent over 20 million workers in 120 different countries across sectors including finance, post and logistics, care, security and cleaning, and others. Working with trade unions from across the globe allows us to really build a picture of a company's practice. So back in the early 2000s, UniGlobal started to work with investors on a company by company basis to support their engagement. So a key area we focus on when engaging with shareholders is freedom of association and collective bargaining. The reason for this is that they are enabling rights. This means they help foster respect for other human rights. For example, the presence of a trade union can improve a company's health and safety, or it may improve or reduce discrimination against workers. Trade unions can also improve a company's due diligence process as they bring that on-the-ground insight from what's really happening. We think it's particularly topical for both companies and investors because at the moment the picture of what we see for these rights globally is really alarming. Violation of both freedom of association and collective bargaining are at a 9-year high according to the ITUC Global Rights Index. So in 2022, in 77% of countries, either companies or governments violated workers' rights to freedom of association, and then in 79% of countries, workers had their right to collective bargaining infringed. As well as raising individual companies, there's some sectors where it's not a case where there's just one bad employer. There might be challenges to that sector across the board. So for example, in the care sector, across the board, we see challenges not only with freedom of association and collective bargaining, but also with wages and contract types, health and safety, and the quality of care. So for that reason, we help investors come together to look at the issues of that sector. We coordinate the Investor Initiative for Responsible Care, but UniGlobal is the secretariat. That's an investor initiative now with nearly 140 investors with over $4.4 trillion in assets under management. So we aim firstly to support investors with their engagement with particular companies. So we will share the insights we hear from our union affiliates with investors. We may do this one-to-one and support investors in their engagement. We also may do this with groups of investors by coordinating webinars or in-person events, and where appropriate, bringing investors together to do collaborative engagements. So last year, UniGlobal co-authored a report called Shared Prosperity, the Investor Case for Freedom of Association. And this report provides a lot of different resources for investors, including example questions to ask on this topic, case studies of best practices that we've seen in companies, and also examples of where we've seen effective investor engagement in the past. This ensures any solutions or changes that a company may put in place as a result of engagement works for workers and not just company or investors. I see one challenge of us doing this work, trying to engage with so many different stakeholders, is investors and trade unions often come from very different worlds and are often seen as not having a lot in common by many people. And this may just be because traditionally they might not have engaged a lot with each other, or they use different vocabulary when talking about these things. But we see that both parties actually have a lot in common, because ultimately they both want the long-term sustainability of a company and to ensure that company can continue to provide good jobs. So we see one of our roles within the investor engagement team at uni is trying to bring those two communities together.